What's up, y'all? It's your girl Janelle Berry, aka the Sweetest Berry,
And this is Tavon.
and welcome to my couple series. We are on episode 3 today,
Yes.
and we are going to be talking about how to handle conflict in relationships. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so when it comes to being in a relationship, we all love when everything's peachy keen and there's no issues, but we know that's not the reality of things, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
So the question is, how do we still have a healthy relationship but navigate through those difficult moments, those periods when you're just not seeing eye to eye, and you don't really want to ruffle your partner's feathers, but you want to be heard, you want to be seen.
Yeah. I mean, nobody really wants to be, just content with, allowing a person to just keep doing the same thing over and over, and it's like they don't actually get the chance to express their emotions.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a couple that can develop. You can actually develop the capability to express your emotions to a person, so they actually do know exactly how you feel. Because that could be a problem. I mean, I wasn't always this Tavon that I am to this day. I had an issue with expressing my emotions because as a kid, that trauma had developed as a kid when I wasn't heard much.
Right.
So when I got older, I didn't know how to actually express how I felt. Therefore, that emotion built up.
Yeah. And I actually had the same issue as well. Like, I don't know. I don't like hurting, people's feelings.
But you gotta understand, your feelings are hurt.
Yeah, my feelings matter too,
Yeah.
So, and then for me growing up, a lot of the times I didn't, especially during puberty, I didn't know what was wrong, you know?
You didn't.
And my mom would be like, "What's wrong? What's the matter?" And love my mom to death. She just likes to solve problems. So I used to be a little timid, a little passive, and I would be quiet, didn't want to talk. And my mom's like, let's get to it. Let's solve the issue. Yeah. And to me, back then, that came off as her not caring and being too aggressive.
Yes.
But my mother likes to solve problems, and now with Kier, I see the same thing. So I try to be a little softer and try to let him have the time to himself to figure out what exactly he's feeling before he expresses it. And so when it comes to you, we all, ladies and gentlemen,
yes,
boys and girls, we all know when our partner, friend, whoever, we know when somebody isn't feeling it,
Definitely.
Especially if they're your true friend, or if that's your man, your lady, when they're not in a good mood and something that you said or did bothered them. You might not know what exactly it is,
yes,
but and so
and not to cut you off, but I want to throw this in there, and this is going to sound wild, but it's because people are tapping into their psychic abilities without even knowing.
Right.
And that psychic ability is called clairsentience. Clairsentience is the ability to feel without any logical explanation.
Yeah, you could just feel it in the air.
You feel it. It's like there's no logic, there's no information that can tie you to knowing that something is actually wrong, because it's a feeling. Logic and feeling isn't the same thing at all.
Yeah.
So when someone tries to tell you, well, your feelings don't make sense. Why would you feel like that? It doesn't make sense. Well, feeling is the complete opposite of logic. So, yes, it does not make sense at all.
Yeah.
But, back to what you were saying.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, how can you tell when I'm upset about something without verbally speaking it? Because another thing about me is sometimes it takes takes me a little time to vocalize what's bothering me.
And I completely understand that, because people who have been in our situations, it will take time, especially if you're in a relationship, to allow your lover to know, like, hey, something's not right, but I don't feel comfortable expressing that now. When something is wrong with you in particular, baby, one thing that I do notice is that it's your eyes. Like, as beautiful as this woman's eyes is, when something is not right, I know. Like, just by looking at her. Like, I don't even got to use or tap into my ability called clairsentience. Because everyone has it, guys. It's just some people just strengthen it a lot more by paying attention. Paying attention is observation, and observation is you being aware of your psychic abilities. But with her, I just look at her, for one. So that's the logic that tells me that she is not in the, right state of mind. But I could be wrong. That's the thing, guys. Logic isn't always correct when depicting a person's mood.
Right.
Because there's another aspect of people, which is feeling. And that feeling is always psychic, because that psychic awareness is observation through studying a person. And when you're with a person, you're supposed to study them.
Yes.
That is my opinion. If you ain't studying your lover, you really don't care about them. But that's my opinion. What I noticed with her, first, logic comes into play. I didn't say logic can't be used in understanding when someone's upset. So logic comes into place. I physically see if something is wrong. And I get confirmation. I'm like, okay, well, she don't look like she in the best mood. But guess what? I can be wrong. So then I observe her throughout the day, observing her in many different ways. Like, is she talking less? Is she like not looking at me? Like, but that's actually logic. So I notice her not speaking much, and I'm like, that's not like my baby. Me and my baby, we were friends before we became lovers, and that's the thing, guys.
Great
so sense. I really, really studied her. I even got notes of this woman. Notes on top of notes. Every phone that I own have notes of my lady and my son. And now, of course, my daughter. But yeah, she I would notice how she looked first, which is logical. And then I will notice the observation of how I'm feeling when I look at her. And I'm like, something don't feel right. Something don't feel right. Now, I can be wrong, because I could be projecting my feelings onto her. But in that case, when you're wondering, you're actually channeling in the person's energy that you are wondering about. And that's why I say that everyone is psychic. It's just that a lot of people don't pay attention. They're not able to observe a person correctly due to their trauma themselves. They can be projecting onto a person.
Right.
So I pay attention to how she looked first, and then based off of how I look at her and how she moving, I develop a synopsis on how she's feeling. And that's literally that psychic energy that I'm channeling in from her. And I'm like, okay, she's not feeling right. And then that's when I go in and I attempt to see what's wrong. But usually it's because she will go silent,
Yeah.
And I'll be like, baby, come on now, what's wrong with you?
You will. And
you'd be like, well, you...
I did not say
I know. But it's, guys, we are way more in tune with everything around us and ourselves than we know. It's just that a lot of us don't pay attention.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes you asking me more than once what's wrong.
Oh yeah.
First time I'll usually say nothing. I know.
Yeah, and see, it's tone too, guys. Like, all of this comes into play when correctly channeling in someone's emotions to actually see what's wrong.
Right.
And yeah, I do notice sometimes I have to ask multiple times. But like I said, the logic comes into play when I'm not necessarily picking up on the correct energy when I feel on what I feel. So logic comes into play. And I noticed that she don't really look at me. And that's something logical that you can tell when someone's upset at you, in a sense.
They don't really make that eye contact.
Yeah, so she doesn't make eye contact as long as I would want her to. So.
Yeah, and
So how can you tell if I'm upset?
It's very similar. When it comes to you being upset with me, you're quiet. Yeah, you just like shut down. It's like he is in his own world, y'all. I'm like, dang, can you let me in? I want to talk. And it's like he'll have headphones in, he'll be looking straight ahead or whatever he's doing, he's looking at that thing, and he does not really talk. And unless I speak to him, if I speak to him when he's upset, he'll answer, but it's usually like real short and to the point. I just don't feel the love,
Exactly.
Well, I know you love me, but it's just like it's a little cold, like a cold feeling.
Yeah, I'm working on it, guys. We're not perfect, but
you're doing really, really well, say. And I have to remind myself not to take it personal, because there will be times where you might be upset and it's not necessarily.
And it's rare, baby. You do gotta understand, it's rarely you.
Yeah.
Because you're so understanding, it's rarely you, and that's why I say it. We have to take time, guys, out of the day to cater to ourselves in ways that allow us to be emotionally stable.
Yes.
Emotional stable actually comes through meditation, and meditation is just as simple as prayer.
You took the word out of my mouth.
Yeah, I understand both concepts of how to stabilize energy. Prayer is how to stabilize energy, and meditation is the spiritual aspect of how you stabilize energy. But prayer is the religious aspect of how to stabilize energy. You notice after you pray, guys, and I know we got a lot of Christians out there. They pray, but as they're praying, you got to realize that you are talking to something that is within you already.
Right.
And you're convincing yourself as you are praying, no matter what God you're praying to clear things up, to push things away, to stabilize your mentality so that you can receive the correct answers from God. That is actually the same. It goes the same way for spirituality. Spirituality is just the opposite aspect of religion, guys. So all the hate that everyone receives, no matter if you're religious or if you're spiritual, you guys are fighting the wrong war. Because it's just like logic and feeling. Feeling is spirituality. Logic, in most aspects, is religion. They got to physically see something in order for it to have proof and understanding to them. When in reality, it's completely opposite with spirituality. Yeah. You have that other aspect of your brain that you have to cater to, that is receiving constantly.
Right.
And it's up for you to have stable enough feelings to receive the correct message so that you're not projecting your trauma onto
someone else. Right. And so when it comes to you, like, you do very well with expressing your emotions.
Yes.
So it's not often that you get in this quiet mode and you just leave me out. Like, normally, for the most part, if that does happen, which is very rare, it's because we're going through something. Maybe I may have said something the wrong way, or you just didn't agree with the way I reacted to something.
Yes.
My tone of voice, things like that. And when you really know your partner and you notice that they start to switch up in how they're acting, we have to look within ourselves, play back whatever happened throughout the day, and think, okay, what is it that I may have said or did that may have played a part in what's
in
going on
triggering
right
them.
now, you know, instead of just being defensive, like, why are you mad? What's wrong?
Yes.
You know, so I try to do that for me. I, rewind the day in my head and think about some things. Because normally, if you know your partner, like, you know what makes them happy, mad, and sad. So with all of that knowledge, you're able to figure out when something's wrong with them. And when I know that it has nothing to do with me, instead of taking it personal, I try to just give him his space,
Yes, and I appreciate you for that, because you do really good with that. And
yeah, thank you.
I feel like that's what everyone actually needs, is space.
Yeah, like I know when Tavon hasn't meditated or prayed, and it's like I agree with what you said as far as meditation and prayer being one and the same. And I also feel like, on another hand, prayer is more talking and meditation is more so feeling, listening, like grounding yourself, centering yourself to where you can just kind of like think about nothing, which can be hard to do, but just being, just existing, no TV, no music, unless you need some like natural sounds or something. But you really don't need anything to meditate. You don't have to cross your legs and have your hands a certain way.
Even to pray. Guys, you can pray in your head, and it's just as effective as saying it out loud. Actually, in my opinion, from what I've observed with praying, is that praying in your head is actually more effective, because you believe what you're saying in your head is being directed to God.
Right. You could pray while you're having a conversation with somebody.
But guess what? And I'm glad you said that. If you are praying while you're having conversations with someone, guess what you're doing? You are actually taking your mind off of the conversation you're having with that person, and you're focusing on something else, which will actually make you appear as if you're not paying attention to that person's conversation. Or you may even mess up your words while you're praying to God or whoever you pray to, while continuing to talk to that person, because that's how the brain works. Like, the brain, if it's focused on to something, it's going to focus on that. So the subconscious comes into play, where you're receiving whatever it is that person is saying to you. You may be shaking your head and nodding, but you're actually somewhere else. And that somewhere else is you actually praying. Right. So, and then next thing you know, the person is like, well, did you hear what I just said? Right. And you like, when in reality you didn't, because you were literally just praying. Right.
But on another hand, it could just soften the whole mood of the conversation, because you just have that, I don't know, that energy just changes to where that person may feel like they're being heard.
Yes.
Just having God in a mix of things truly changes everything. From your relationship, conversations, your personal mood, everything. So I didn't mean to get this deep, but no matter if you're spiritual, if you're religious, like, as long as you have that foundation of, one, really knowing each other, getting to know each other, knowing, what sets them off, what makes them happy, and you have a relationship with God and honesty, to me, like,
nothing beats that. Yeah. In my opinion. Because if you're honest with yourself, I mean, you are literally honest with everything. Right. That's been the biggest problem since the beginning of time itself. Human beings do not tell the truth to themselves. We're constantly in a state of delusion when it comes to ourselves. Like, we don't want to admit none of our wrongs. It's like, it's okay to admit you were wrong, because you're going to always be wrong at something. But what are you going to do tomorrow? Right. Are you going to continue to do the same thing over and over?
What are you going to do to grow, to learn from those experiences? Like, the whole point of life is to learn and evolve. Like, none of us are perfect. We don't have all of the answers, but if we can communicate effectively and love each other unconditionally, I feel like we can, make it to the next level. And when I say love unconditionally, I don't mean like be a doormat and let people just walk over you every single time.
We don't do that over here.
Yeah, that shows that you don't love yourself, essentially.
Yes.
But unconditionally, in a sense where if you don't do something that I necessarily like, that doesn't mean I'm going to treat you differently.
Yes.
Forever.
Yes.
If you have a moment where you need time alone, that's fine. But when you really hold on to that and you just switch up your whole energy towards that person and you just keep holding on to it, and that person is trying to, figure out what's going on, that's not unconditional love. That's loving conditionally.
Yes.
We're not always, like you said, we're not always going to get it right. We're not always perfect. We're going to make mistakes, but
do not beat yourself up about it. I mean, that's the path of Jesus Christ, guys. I mean, Christ has his arms open for a reason, and basically everything is being signaled to his heart because everything was loved unconditionally when it comes to Jesus.
Right.
And it's that way because he accepted people for who they were.
Right.
And that's the whole path, guys. Accepting people for who they are, so it doesn't necessarily even affect you when they even do the same things over and over.
Yes.
If you love them unconditionally, that means you accept them for who they are. So what sense is it for me to be mad at them for doing the same thing over and over?
Right.
If I love them unconditional. Because I already expect you to do that. You've already shown me who you were because I observed you.
Right.
So if I keep noticing the same pattern, more than likely, I still love you and it's unconditional, and I won't get upset at your actions anymore.
Right.
Because it's a repetition. It's just like somebody telling you, they're not going to drink your milk no more out the refrigerator. And then every single time you go in the refrigerator, they drink your milk. And it's like, could you really get mad at them if that's something you accept in your household?
Yeah, you can accept it, or you can say, you know what? I don't accept it.
Yeah.
I'm getting my own refrigerator and I'm out.
Exactly. Yes.
And then sometimes too, you have to love people from a distance. Sometimes it takes people longer to change and evolve, and that's okay too. But you can't expect that other person to always be there, in a sense.
Yes.
Like, when it comes to a relationship, there should be an agreement that we are going to learn and grow together. You don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to be at the same place 5-10 years from when you first met, and that person is still drinking your milk when they know you really like that milk and you want it to yourself. You can have everything else, but just don't touch the milk.
Exactly. But that's only due to that person not wanting to change, on top of you actually experiencing a trauma with that person.
Right.
Because when things is repetition, guys, it becomes a trauma.
Yeah, and we mean bigger than milk. We're just using milk as a
funny example. We're just using milk as a funny example,
but
it becomes a bigger trauma when you, the more and more you let something go on and it's not addressed from you to that person who is causing the issue.
Yeah, because you're basically showing them how you want to be treated, what you accept and what you don't accept. And if you keep accepting it, it's not going to stop happening.
It's not going to stop. Yeah.
Like, why would it? So, yeah, we just wanted to, hop on here and tell you all, help everyone deal with the harder things in relationships, working through conflict, and knowing that even though you might have a hard patch in your relationship, that does not define your relationship as a whole. So Yeah, we want you all to keep communicating with each other.
Yes, please do.
Keep loving on each other. And yeah, until next time, stay beautiful and stay blessed.
Y'all have a good one.
Bye.